Hi, friends. Susan Axelrod here, the Confidence Coach. Welcome to this interview in my Women's Wisdom playlist. This work that I do, speaking with women about their wisdom gleaned and gained, is so meaningful to me. I love to inspire others, and I need my own inspiration. And I find that everywhere I turn, especially with women. Today, I'm bringing you someone who made a random Facebook post about a project she's involved with, and I was intrigued and definitely inspired. And when I invited her to do this interview, she said yes. Hello, Dory Herman-Sample. How are you?
I'm well, Susan. Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you here. I want to let everyone know that you and I both went to Mount Holyoke College, and that's where we met each other. And I'm always inspired by my Mount Holyoke siblings. So I'm really delighted to be speaking with you. And I meant what I said when I said to you in the green room before we got started that I offer a lot of people an opportunity to come here and speak about these passion projects. Not everyone says yes. So thank you for taking the time and showing up today. The project that you mentioned in just a few words in a Facebook post was, I make sleeping mats from plastic bags. Now, I have heard about this in the past, and in the past, I'm sure I thought, oh, that's cool. But at that moment, when you said that, I had the time, interest, and bandwidth to say, hey, would you talk to me about this? So while you are a multi-talented person, and I'm hoping we're going to have other things to talk about in the future, today I really want to learn about this project, how you got into it, and also especially how you do it.
Well, it was very much like your introduction to it. It was a random Facebook post by a friend of mine who had moved out of the area on retirement, and she found a group of women who were doing social action projects, and she posted a picture of a sleeping mat that she had made, and the mats from their group were donated to unhoused people. And I looked at it and said, I think I can do that. It costs virtually nothing to do. It just takes time and having some storage place, because each mat requires about 700 plastic bags to make.
Okay. Now I'm understanding. 700 plastic bags. Okay, how much space does 700, do you stuff them all in a box? Like, how much space does 700 plastic bags take?
Well, I don't know exactly, because once people found out that I wanted plastic bags, they started donating them. And so they kind of have taken over a part of my basement. They're in suitcases and bins. And
Okay, I get it. Now, we are talking about like those supermarket plastic bags, right?
that's correct.
Right.
Yes,
Okay. So then the word got out, and now they're coming to you with a big garbage bag filled with these plastic bags. Okay.
yes.
And now this is really important, Dory. In this passion project, you've committed space in your house. So you said they're taking over a part of your basement. Okay, that's good. That's fine. A lot of us have space in our houses for this. So go ahead. You learned about it. I love that you learned about it from somebody else posting a picture. It doesn't cost much. Obviously, people bring you their bags and they're happy to, but it does take time. So how does it work? How do you do this?
So you straighten out a plastic bag just so it's flat, and then fold it lengthwise in thirds, and then cut it into strips. You cut off the handle, you cut off the end, and then you are left with about a 10-inch piece, and you cut about 2-inch strips. Then those strips are threaded one through each other and pulled, and it makes what is referred to as plarn. So it becomes a roll of yarn out of plastic, and you use that to crochet the bags.
Gosh, first of all, stop right here. I love this. Plastic yarn
Yes,
is
exactly.
yarn. I love that. Oh, so basically, you cut the strips, you cut off the handles, and you're weaving your own long piece that you're going to now do something else with. So that's okay. So, and we have yarn. I love this. Okay.
And then it ends up looking like this.
I see. Okay.
And then I just crochet it into a long strip with a very large crochet needle.
I see.
And then just back and forth and back and forth.
Oh, I see. Okay, first of all, do you know what size that needle is? Is that like a 10 or something?
It's a 13.
It's a 13. Okay, so size 13 crochet needle.
But if
Okay.
you have a 10 and you're comfortable using it, that's fine too. It's not exact.
It's not an exact science. Okay. I
And the
love that.
tutorial that I learned from that was wonderful. And the instructor kept saying, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be functional.
Oh
And,
my
and
gosh.
that works.
That's so great. Honestly, I don't know, you probably don't know, but I teach Qigong. And Qigong is a form of mindful movement. It's a practice of mindful movement. And the way I learned it from Dr. Roger Yanka, who's the head of the Institute of Integral Qigong and Tai Chi, basically he teaches it the same way. It doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be functional for you, for your energy. So that really spoke to me. Um, so so first of all, I don't crochet, but I aspire to crochet.
It is possibly the easiest thing you can do if you want to crochet, because it is just one loop, pull it through, move to the next, do the same thing. There's nothing fancy, nothing elaborate.
Okay, and also there's stiffness in the plarn that you don't have in yarn. I do knit, I don't crochet, but in yarn you have yarn that could shred, right? You
Right.
know, it's loose, but with the plastic, with the plarn, it's solid. So
That's
that,
correct.
yeah, that's really cool. Um, okay, so oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is so good. So now we make it, is it like 5 feet or 6 feet long? I mean, how long?
It's usually about 3 feet wide and between 5 and 6 feet long. It really depends on your energy, the number of bags you have, and the population for which it's destined. If it's
Right,
going to a woman, then it can be a little bit smaller.
right, okay. When it was done, did you lay down on one yourself?
Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, exactly. And I feel like it seems to me like it would be a nice kind of solid, firm base to lay down on.
It is, and because you cut those strips about 2.5, 3 inches wide, you are off the ground. So there's some cushion there. It insulates you from the ground when it's cold, and when it's hot, it allows air to move underneath you. It doesn't get lice or bugs
Oh, right, it
because
doesn't
it's,
hold. Okay,
yep. And
yeah.
if you need to clean it, you can simply splash water on it. So it's a really functional, lightweight, easy piece. It's also very insulating. So if you are cold, you can wrap it around you.
So that was a question that I had. Is it stiff or is it pliable? Would somebody roll it up into like a sleeping roll?
Yes, you roll them up, and then I crochet 2 long ties so it can be tied closed. And then I crochet a handle so it can be slung over your shoulder.
This is so good. Oh my gosh. So, you learned about this project. You thought to yourself, I could do that. Then you thought to yourself, I'm going to do that. Then you did do it. These are all different phases of taking action, Dory. I teach turning ideas into action. Then you shared with other people. It's a very important aspect of turning ideas into action. You shared with others, I'm doing this. Then they started coming to your house in droves with plastic bags that they were happy to get rid of. And
And the nicest part about that is that one of the people who brought me a plastic bag said, you know, I think I can do this too. Would you teach me? And now we're very good friends. And
oh, that's so good.
together we teach a group at a women's social impact group. And so now they've made about 5 or 6 mats as well to donate.
Oh my gosh. So this is like so in my language, it's in my world, it's in my wheelhouse. You know, what I love the most about this is you said, it's funny, Susan, that you said you saw a random Facebook post because that's how you saw it. So, you know, this is what I call using social media for good. So many years ago, the year shall remain unnamed, I was very frantic a lot, very anxious, very acting out, you know, yelling on social media this many years ago. And at some point I finally got control of myself and made a decision and a commitment to use Facebook for good going forward forever. And that's what I've done ever since. And so this would be an example whereby I honestly, literally cannot wait to share this video with people because we're, you know, you saw a post, I saw a post. You made a new friend. Hello, I'm listening to a 3-hour podcast on the importance of social bonding and social connection by Dr. Andrew Huberman. Now then, you had an impact group whereby other women who want to be inspired and want to be able to do something learned from you. Now you hang together and you're making mats. Now, let me just ask you from your world, what do you do with your mats or your group's mats?
Well, again, it's just that social media connection. The position I retired from was based in a church, and one of the women who attended the church and I became Facebook friends, and she saw this and asked about it, and I said, oh, I'll bring it in and I'll show you. And she happens to be an incredibly compassionate volunteer who works 4 or 5 nights a week as a volunteer in different shelters. And so she asked if she could have it to take to a shelter. And I was absolutely so flattered and thrilled. And I have been giving them to her ever since. And she will say to me, I'm going to the women's shelter, so, you know, I need a smaller one, or I found somebody on the street who needed it. So I just, you know, I gave it to him. And so we've together been able to donate them all across our community. And again,
I'm holding my head in my hands. This is so good. By the way, as an aside, if you think that woman would like to have a conversation with me for my Women's Wisdom playlist, I'd love to talk to her. I'd love to talk to someone who is volunteering several nights a week because we need her to share that inspiration with others, because there are very many, if you forgive me for saying, of us women in the second half of life who have time, effort, and energy. And that brings me to something, Dory, that you shared with me, which is when I just messaged you, or we messaged each other, and I said, what is this? How did this come about? And I wrote it down. I'm looking down at my paper that you said, I think many women are liberated by retirement and then able to do what they choose to do rather than what they need to do. and these are the people we're speaking to. And I'm like looking in my camera to you. If you are watching this video or you're listening to us while you walk, I want to invite and encourage you to listen to this story and understand what's happening here and the many lessons embedded here from Dory sharing her wisdom gleaned and gained. That's what we're doing here. We're sharing women's wisdom. And I invite you to get a crochet hook and start collecting plastic bags. So Dory, even as you said that, it did occur to me, I wonder if because of the reuse canvas bag movement, right? In March of 2020, I was living in New York State. They had just passed a mandate about not using plastic bags. And then, of course, COVID hit. Literally, this totally coincided, and all of that kind of went out the door with the single-use need and all of that. But today, at this time, there are many, many more people who use canvas bags and net bags, and they're not using these plastic bags. Has this put a damper on things, or do you want to say to me, Susan, there's still plenty of plastic bags?
There are still plenty of plastic bags. And I will add that another reason I like this project is because it's environmentally very, very positive, because instead of going into a landfill, these bags are being used and reused. So that's important to me.
I have chills. I literally have chills from all of this. I mean it, of course, that's the most important thing. And these mats could be shared because they don't get lice and they don't hold on to germs. They can be cleaned pretty easily. This is plastic. You can hose it down, throw on some detergent, hose it again, I think, and let it dry out.
Yes.
I think. So
yes.
Honestly, they could be used for hundreds of years. I mean,
exactly.
Because we know the plastic lasts in the landfill, right?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy right now. I really, truly am. No, not exaggerating. It really, I'm very, very happy. So I want to say thank you so much for coming here. Dory and I were lucky and blessed to go to a college called Mount Holyoke College, one of the 7 sister colleges in Massachusetts. And one of the old traditions that we had was called M&Cs. Yes, milk and cookies. So Dory, you probably don't know, but periodically I go into the group and say, hey, does anybody want to do an M&Cs? I'm going to interview someone, etc. And I feel like this would be a great M&Cs conversation inside the group. So off camera, I'll talk to you about that and see if you want to have this conversation all over again. Friends, I hope that you have found inspiration from this conversation, and I encourage and urge you to do anything that matters in the world today. Dory, thank you so much for this conversation. I'm looking forward to staying in touch, hearing more, perhaps hosting you on my platform to do a little workshop on this or something, whatever it takes to do more. Thanks for coming.
I would be delighted. Thank you, Susan. I appreciate it.
Okay. Talk to you soon then.